Policeman stops man that looks like his dead son. Seconds later, he sees what's on the dashboard. The child's age at the time of their death or the cause of their death doesn't seem to make a difference. Losing a child is one of the most difficult things a parent can ever go through. There are many parents who just can't get past the loss of a child. They find a way to go on sometimes, but still the hurt, the sorrow, and the loss never goes away. When that child is gone, the parents are going to feel the loss for the rest of their lives. A police officer lost his son, and the hole in his heart still remained. Here's the story of the day that the policeman stopped a man because he looked like his dead son. Seconds later, he sees what's on the dashboard. One morning in April 2017, a man named William James Wensky was driving down the street when he saw the lights of a police car flashing in his rearview mirror. He saw the lights right away. The man pulled over instantly as the officer got out of his car and walked over to William. William was wondering why he was being pulled over. Was he driving too fast? Did he run a stop sign? Did he have a taillight out? He wasn't sure why he was being pulled over until the officer got to the window. It turned out the officer just wanted to thank William for his military service. When the officer thanked William for his service, he realized that the officer must have seen the military bumper sticker that William had on the back of his truck. After that officer thanked William for his service, he asked him where he'd served. William told him that he'd served in Iraq for 15 months and that he had recently come home. The officer looked at William with sadness in his eyes. He told William that he'd never served overseas. However, his son did. He explained how his son had served in Iraq but sadly never made it home. He was killed in the line of duty. William's heart was broken after hearing the officer's story because he also lost fellow military members and friends in Iraq. As the two men were talking, the officer looked on William's dashboard. He saw an American flag on the dashboard, and it was exactly like the one the officer received when he was told his son died in Iraq. It was then that the officer asked William a strange question that he'd never been asked before. The officer asked William if he could have a hug. He didn't ask this question to be weird or because he was attracted to William. He explained that William had reminded him a lot of his son. He explained that when he first pulled him over, for just a second, he thought that William was his son. The officer explained to William that although his son had been gone for a while, he still couldn't believe most days that he was gone. He explained that there were other days that he didn't want to believe his son was gone. Hearing the officer's story moved William so much that he reached in and gave him a hug. His eyes filled with tears while he thought about what this poor man had been through. The hug that William gave the officer was not an ordinary hug, where you just lean in and hug quickly. He got out of his truck and they hugged hard and long. The officer's story moved William. He thought about the officer, his son, and all the friends that he had lost while he was overseas in Iraq fighting for his country. It turned out that when William was pulled over, he was on his way home from a treatment program. When William came home from Iraq, he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It's a very common issue for military personnel coming home from a war zone. It's a serious condition that causes stress, anxiety, depression, nightmares. It can also create night terrors, and without treatment, it could sometimes result in suicide. William went to a military rehabilitation program for his condition. Every week, he'd been doing this ever since he got home. While at the program, he asked to open up and relive horrible experiences in order to heal. Since he was on his way home when he was pulled over by the officer, he was still feeling a bit emotional. A hug from the officer, who was struggling just as much, if not more than he was, helped him a lot. That hug was exactly what he needed. William Jaswinski. My heart ached for the officer as I offered my condolences. At that exact moment, William said after the hug helped him feel better in two ways. In that moment, he needed a hug. It also helped him because he felt that in just a small way, he was helping the police officer. He believed the officer's fallen son was looking down on those two men, appreciating what William was doing for his father. When the two men were done talking, the officer got back in his car and back on patrol. William got back in his truck and headed home. While driving home, he looked over the flag on his dashboard and thought about Iraq. The friends he made and the friends he lost. He was so impressed with the officer that he shared what happened on Facebook. Since then, his story has been shared over 181,000 times. He got 11,000 comments on his post and over 138,000 likes. People all over the world found William's story incredibly touching. The officer was struggling with his grief for a moment, mistook William for his son. People were moved by the fact that the two men hugged and in some small way understood each other. This goes to show you not every story that goes viral about the police is a bad one.